What's up, YouTube? This your main man, AB the Hero, back again with another video. And we gotta watch this clip from First Take. They got Jason Kidd on here and they asked him questions about the kid Lonzo Ball. So you got the kid, Jason Kidd, talking about the kid Lonzo Ball, and he says some things that was borderline disrespectful, but we're gonna talk about them and let's see where this is going. Let's go.
Jason, another big story obviously in the NBA has been Lonzo Ball coming out of college. A lot of people comparing him to you. I personally think it's a stretch, but what's your reaction to that?
I agree. I agree with you.
Alright, so now that was a short response, but he don't really say too much on that point. He don't really have to, because she basically gave him a softball question and then answered it, and he just agreed with it, right? But to me, it's kind of like, what do you expect, right? If you would have asked Michael Jordan, hey, there's this kid, Kobe Bryant, coming into the league, a lot of people compare him to you, I think it's a stretch, what do you think? Mike would have said it was a stretch, especially when you consider in Mike's rookie season, he averaged 28 points a game. Kobe's rookie season, he averaged 7.6 points a game, right? But what everybody can conclude, and we can all probably pretty much agree on, is that Kobe ended up being the closest thing to Jordan that we've seen. So now when you start looking at these legends and them comparing these young bucks to them, of course they go, it's a stretch, I don't know, I'm the only Mike, I'm the only J Kidd, and much respect to J Kidd, but he really gotta, it's a stretch that you think it's a stretch, you feel me? It's closer than you think.
What do you think the pros and cons of Lonzo's games is?
He's a rookie. He's a rookie, and Ball's going to be fine. He's got a great coach in Walton, and understanding it's going to take a little time, because of all the hype and the expectations that everybody thought he was going to come out and set the league on fire. But he also has a bullseye on his back, and there's other guys in this league that believe that they're better. So he has to understand what it means to be prepared and be ready to play on a nightly basis. But he still has a skill set that a lot of guys don't have in this league, and that's making his teammates better.
It always triggered me just a little bit when people start talking about that bullseye on his back thing, right? The man, first round pick, second pick overall in the draft, of course he gonna have a bullseye on his back. McDonald's All-American, of course people checking him out, of course people want to go at his head. So I mean, he's been dealing with that since forever. Of course he knows and he's prepared that his dad been boasting and bragging on him for months now, years now, his whole entire life. So of course he come into the league understanding that there's a bullseye and there's pressure. But this idea that like he got to learn that pressure is happening. It's the same thing John Wall said, is that everybody else, we, the media, the fans, everybody else is watching the game, and we like, oh my God, it's a lot of pressure. How can he handle it? But what people don't realize is that the kid been playing under pressure his whole life. So that whole bullseye thing excuse that triggered me. We gotta throw that out the window. I think that what he says here about, he gotta learn how to win and all this stuff, I would say that I feel like by most people's standards, the Lakers have technically been kind of overachieving, you know what I'm saying? When we start talking about making teammates better, which is what he credited Lonzo with, we see that in players like Kyle Kuzma, which is definitely steal of the draft and is playing really, really good basketball, which started in the summer league when Lonzo was hitting him on them full court passes and really unlocked his offense. He even said in the summer league that he didn't even know he could go as hard on offense as he is in the NBA. You know what I'm saying? And he said that it's a lot easier. Now, like I said, when you got a guy like Lonzo who has been credited with the ability to change the culture, everybody's passing, all of these shooters now are unlocked, we start to see these things change. That was the thing that separated him from everybody else and made him the second overall draft pick. I think that there was a lot of hype amongst the casual fans who wasn't really following my dog from back in Chino Hills when he was dropping dimes and dishing off to his brothers who was averaging 30 and 40 and 50 and 60, 90 points a game type of things. And he was dropping off them dimes to him, getting about 15 and 15 triple doubles every other night. Averaged a triple double his senior season in high school. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like that is what's throwing people off right now, is because they expecting a John Wall, a Steph Curry, a Damian Lillard, and he really is a lot more like a J Kidd. Even though J Kidd don't want to give my dog the credit, but he really got to understand they almost in the same lane. J Kidd was a little bit more flashier, though, I will say that.
Coach, let's stick with that comparison in this regard. When I've watched you play throughout the years, there's two things that I think stands out. Number one, you were always going after it. There was never a question about your lack of assertiveness. You were always trying to make things happen. And number two, you played defense. When I think about Lonzo Ball, it's very, very early in his career. But those are the two things that I find to be most glaring. So when somebody compares anybody to you, what do you believe is appropriate for people to bring up about what kind of game you had if they're going to compare folks to you?
I feel like, here we go with Stephen A. I'm sure he set up this interview just to bring this question up, to talk about your boy Lonzo. I will say that if you notice that the two questions that they asked him have been, let me ask you a question, but then also let me give you an answer, right? And I think that this idea that Lonzo don't play defense, if you watch the Laker games, he is definitely, out of all of the things that he was touted to be, they said he was going to be a bad defender. He has exceeded the expectations in that realm more so than he has offensively, right? So he's supposed to be this great facilitator, which he has been, but his defensive prowess has exceeded expectations astronomically. Even when you listen to Luke Walton, who said that we didn't expect him to be as good of a defender as he was. We see last night versus the Celtics, he had 4 blocks. Now, you say, but it's on-ball defense, but we talking about schemes and all of that thing. People said that he got great hands stealing the ball in the lane. Maybe his foot speed on that one-on-one thing ain't great, but when you're going against Kyrie Irving, Damian Lillard, and these super guards like John Wall, nobody's one-on-one defense is great. Where you make up for it, like a person like Kevin Durant, who also is not the quintessential on-ball defender, but is long and lengthy, blocks shots, and makes it tough in the passing lane. That's where Lonzo is flourishing on defense. So let's see what Jason Kidd has to say here.
I think the first thing, does someone play hard for 48 minutes? And are you willing to do anything to win? And so far, it's still early in his career. And as someone said earlier, it's a stretch. He has to understand what it means to play hard and what it means to win and how to win at the highest level. And it takes time. And hopefully in 3 years, maybe there is a better comparison. But right now, it is a stretch, and he has a ways to go.
I feel like they just played Jason Kidd because he started talking about it's a stretch, do whatever it takes to win, and they show the statistics through the first 11 games, and they damn near identical. Now, I would say there's two ways to think about this. If you wanted to say that maybe Jason Kidd has a bit of a more motor than Lonzo Ball did, Lonzo Ball needs to crank it up. Now, if we saying that we believe that Lonzo Ball is going half speed, but he is averaging almost the same numbers as Jason Kidd was going full speed, now what does that say? Does that say when Lonzo cranks it up a little bit, his numbers should go up? But now that's one way to look at it, or you could say that Jason Kidd had to slow it down and get more under control to bring his numbers up. So it's just two ways to look at it. That's up to you on how you look at it. I feel like when my boy Lonzo get his stuff together, he gonna slide into a better position and he gonna start playing a lot better. We're gonna see his shot start to fall. When you really look at the highlights from the last game, or you look at the clips from shots that he missed, he missing easy buckets. We talking about getting to the lane, runners and layups in the paint. We talking about wide open three shots that he would normally hit, and shots that I feel like if you're a hooper in the gym, I done been hooping. I can't claim to be no hooper, but I done blew a couple layups now. But that's just what you would expect from me. You wouldn't expect that from him. So I feel like that's something that's going to turn around. Now, what I will say, the biggest difference that I see between when I was looking at the stats between Jason Kidd and Lonzo Ball. So we look at this, their current through the first 11 game stats are identical, right? But when we start looking at Jason Kidd, his rookie season stats, he had some bad games. Now, the one thing is that was super different between him and Lonzo Ball is that they both passers, right? But Jason Kidd was more the type of guy who's dribbling the ball and then going to pass it for the assist, as opposed to Lonzo, who is the guy who's kicking it up to get the play going and pushing the pace. So there's two different things. So where Jason Kidd is getting 10, 12 assists because he is the guy who's throwing the no-look pass and doing all that to the shot, where Lonzo Ball is a dude who, when they say make your teammates better, give them easy shots, make the team better, who is passing and making the correct pass in order for somebody else to make the pass to get the ball in the hoop. So statistically, it looks a little bit different. Another thing that we seen statistically when I was looking at the statistics was that Jason Kidd took way more free throws than Lonzo Ball. So when you start looking at points per game, it's not that he was inside the game hitting more three-pointers or inside the game having more field goals. It was just that he was actually hitting, what am I saying? His free throw percentage was just better. He was getting more attempts at the free throw line, which for some reason, I said this in another video, the kid Lonzo Ball cannot get a foul call to save his whole life, right? And I think too, another thing that was helping Jason Kidd out in his rookie season, check this up if you don't believe me, he had a lot of games where he was going 2 for 4, right? So he was shooting 50% shooting from the field, but he was going 3 for 6. You know what I'm saying? He was only taking a few shots and then was getting a higher field goal percentage. He did have some games where he played a lot better than that and was going maybe 6 for 11 or 6 for 12 or something like that. But still, he was getting 50% there. But he had a couple games where he was scoring 3 points, 5 points, 6 points, and the majority of those points were coming from the free throw line. So I think the statistics is a little bit off. But when you start to look at Jason Kidd's entire career, it ain't like he had world beater numbers now. He was averaging like 12 points a game, I want to say 8 assists and like 6 rebounds as for a career. Now, if that's Hall of Fame numbers, right, I don't think that where Lonzo is right now at 8, 6, and 6 is far-fetched to say, yo, man, you keep balling, you add 4 more points to your stuff, 2 more assists, and keep your rebounds in the same range, and you got a Hall of Fame career. Now, I don't think that that's too far-fetched, right? I think that based on where Lonzo was shooting in college and based on where Jason Kidd was shooting in college, based on where Jason Kidd's three-point percentage was at 15%, which is terrible. 23% is just as terrible, honestly, but it's still 8% better. That's the difference between being a 35% and a 43%. Now, that's a big difference. Now, you want that difference when you're shooting on three-pointers. But I don't know, man. I feel like it was a lot of shade coming from your boy Jason Kidd in this video, but I don't know. I think the boy Lonzo Ball gonna be all right. He gonna get things together, and we're gonna see him progress this season. It's your main man, AB the Hero. I'm out. Peace.